I always get set up for the talks bit, basically because I get asked to talk a lot. First thing, when you get asked to talk, is you go, oh my God, why me? Why are they asking me? And I always ask that question. Doesn't matter how many times you talk. Doesn't matter how many times people think you're an expert. I hate the guru word. We'll get the expert in, the guru. Instantly in my head I have that image of the GNU and I see a big moose. So I visually connected it to, oh, here we go. And in corporate life, we were constantly pushed into talks where people just talked at you all the time. You're learning, you're going to get this, you're really going to get this. I walked out the door and thought, what? Haven't a clue what's just gone on. Just wasted half a day. So, are you actually an expert or a newbie? Doesn't really matter, really, and you'll see why when I talk through. The fear factor or the X factor. Used X factor, I'm not a big fan, I've got to be honest. But the fear factor, in the green room upstairs, we were all talking. Loads of fear came out, but covered with confidence. You know, we're fine, we know what we're talking about. If you don't have that element of fear, that little bit of edge, that little buzz, then actually you could be really quite boring. Because it's almost like, I know it, done it, been there, done it, got the video, got the t-shirt. Actually, that's what you project out. That's what you say to that person. I'm an expert. I know all about this. And I'm going to make you appreciate me. That's not what you want to get in your head. So the first thing to remember is it's not about you, or in this case, it's not about me. Doesn't matter what I've done in the past. Absolutely irrelevant what I've done in the past. Am I going to come here and actually give somebody or leave somebody with a thought, something that will help them, something that's a little bit of information that will make them think, I can do that. Oh, that was quite good. Oh, that's a good idea. That's great. That's all you need to impart and to share. Okay? Also, what's in it for your audience? Are they going to sit there, gormless, bored, senseless, staring at you, a little empty space, thinking, what the hell have I paid for this for? You know, actually, you don't want to think that. You want to actually forget that they've paid anything at all. You actually want to think that was worth 10 minutes and keep going. So, moving on, can everybody in this room talk? Can you all talk?
Yes.
Yeah? You can all talk. Great, so anybody in this room, anybody can talk about anything, can't we? We can talk about the weather, we can talk about the fog, it's going to snow on Monday. Is it relevant? Is it interesting? So if I'd been asked to actually talk about the inner workings of a bullfrog, I could go and I could learn it. And I could stand here and I could just stand here and I think, I wonder if I remember that. I wonder if I remember that the small intestine of the bullfrog is actually 2.5 inches long. Do I care? No. If I don't care, if I'm not passionate about it, I'm not going to inspire anybody. I'm not going to impart any kind of knowledge. Can you listen? Look around in the audience. You know, are people actually engaged? Are they looking at you? Are they interested in what you're saying? Are they writing notes, getting tips? Or are they, she's a bit boring. You know, the old, get her off quick, what's the next one? So actually engage with them, get them talking, ask some questions. The other thing I always do as well is I actually carry a jotter book everywhere I go, a notebook. The front bit is usually client notes. The back bit is my little secret bit. That's where I see something dead interesting, a painting, a dotty person that said something to me at the bus stop. Because you never know when that knowledge, when that experience will actually add to something that you're actually doing. So everybody in this room has knowledge and experience about something. we've established that everybody can actually talk. We know that everybody can talk. So, is it true that anybody can talk about anything? Hello? Yes? There was a yes?
Yes.
Brilliant. What can you talk about?
Well, I can talk about what I'm studying.
Okay.
My interests.
Keep
what
going.
I like. What kind of television I watch.
Okay, that's fantastic. You're giggling, but that's experience and knowledge from your perspective. So how do you make that interesting for somebody else? So understanding your audience, interacting, it's more than just talking at people, it's about connecting with people. And communication is a two-way street. So again, when you're thinking about what you are going to talk about, is it going to be interesting? Is it going to fulfil the audience's needs? Are you imparting the right kind of information and sharing with them? The other reason, why do I get asked to talk about lots of things? It's based on experience and knowledge. Most people can learn most things, but are they actually passionate about everything? You know, when I get invited to do things, and I get invited to talk about lots of different things, I actually love to do it. I love to see people around. Sometimes I actually like to be quite controversial. I like to get people involved. I like people to ask me questions, and we're not doing questions and answers now, but I like to actually interact with people and see them, even the ones that are like, still like to see why. Why is it not interesting? What do I need to improve to help them get what they need? So speak with passion. And in reality, you're passionate about something that you're actually interested in, or that you know about, or that you have experience of. So not everybody will want to talk about everything, and not everybody will want to listen to everything you have to say. All of those things are actually done, properly done. And if each person in this room, I asked you to take an A4 piece of paper and write down what you've done, you would have lists probably twice as long as that. Because when you really think about it, we've done loads of really interesting stuff, but because it's in here and it's our life, we just accept it. So we don't think it's anything particularly special. But when you come to be asked to do a talk about a topic, think about, you know, again, Sam, fantastic example. 12 years old, there's the story, tell the story. What inspired her? What created this fantastic life? Doing something that she actually loves, that she then wants to go out and really well talk about and share that idea, the whole premise of TED. The other thing to think about is, who is your audience? Are you talking to the right people? Think about the gobbledygook. Now, if I was giving a talk on the innovation curve or sustainability and full life cycle analysis, I might have lots of charts and numbers up there, and we could have a very informative talk about that. Because the people in the audience have come to hear about that specific topic. But I like to move, and I get a bit bored with just facts and figures. And my experience says, if you are just sitting, listening at somebody else talk at you, then actually, 9 times out of 10, people don't really learn. So if you can get people communicating, and you don't just fill the head with lots of equations and lots of facts and figures all the time, and they get the information they came for, fantastic. But again, it's pointless doing a maths equation and giving it to me, because I mentally turn off. So again, know your audience, and don't start doing the, when the ADCL drops in with your HTML, and then you drop that via your electrical pulsator, and then you plug that up your tortoise's arse and it lights up. Hello? Do you know what made me sit up for me? The tortoise's bum. So again, it's about being relevant. Use the right terminology to people who will actually understand what you're actually talking about. Overcoming the fear. Again, I go back to talking about fear. I'm going to tell you a little story here of some tips about overcoming the fear. I had one experience. I was talking in, I think it was Belgium, and the chap in Belgium before me basically arrived. He was a top and tails braces guy. He had got a stick. He had sent on his laptop. He'd sent on the slides. He'd sent a burnt DVD beforehand, and he got there. And it was actually Mr. Tesco talking about the implementation of barcoding and how it affected his distribution chain. But the audience was appropriate. And when we got there, he had a complete nervous breakdown because nothing had arrived. And the team that were there basically gave him some 5 little white postcards. Ooh, that's loud. 5 little white postcards. And said, you can write on this. And he'd got a 300-seat auditorium filled with people. The point in that was I spent my bit, instead of being terrified about what I was going to talk about, actually behind the curtain with him saying, you say it, I'll write it down. And he had to go up with a completely blank screen, and he did a brilliant job because he actually did know his stuff. He knew his stuff. The other thing was the night before he'd read a fantastic article, thank you, article, all about the worst things that can happen to you. And apparently, making a presentation at that particular time is worse than death. Because if you're dead, you can't be in fear, because you're dead. And he had got in his head that it was all going to go wrong. So one of the things sometimes is to enjoy the edge of the fear, because you already know your stuff. You are talking about something that you are passionate about, something that you know about. So if that suddenly goes down, I'll continue talking until the man with the clock goes, because I can still keep talking and you don't need the pictures. Yeah? Practice. The thing with practice is great, but don't always learn word for word what you're going to do, because when I have learnt it word for word and then I stand in front of you and talk to you about the practice of giving a really good presentation, then I will remember what I am going to say next. Because you're talking to a room full of intelligent people who actually want to interact with you, and they know you're just repeating. So are you actually understanding and caring about what you're talking about, or have you just gone and read the textbook and then you're reading it out? So that's really quite important. Be comfortable. Be comfortable in who you are. You know, if you're the sort of person who normally wears shorts and trainers, then, you know, dress appropriately. You know, if I'd come out here today, I'd scare you the living daylights out of you if I was wearing a bikini. It would be totally inappropriate. I would feel horrendously embarrassed. You would be living in fear and asking for sick bags. And you know what? You wouldn't be looking and listening to that. You'd be laughing and thinking, my God, the woman has lost the plot. So common sense always comes across. The other thing is that the enemy is not your audience. Get that in your head. You don't know me, so you don't know me well enough to hate me yet. Give me 15 minutes. And also breathe. Just breathe. It is amazing. When that adrenaline and the fear kicks in, you actually start to talk like that because you forget to breathe, because you have to get the words out really quickly, because you want everyone to understand you. So breathe. And if you start that feeling, that gut feeling, slow it down. Just slow it down. Take a moment. Because you're connecting with people you don't know. and everybody's brain works at a different pace. Equally, when you get really nervous, you tend to talk really quickly and you tend to want to get it over, so you gallop and you get through and you get your words mixed up. And, I'm not a rapper. I can't understand it half the time when the kids play it. So if I deliver like that, nobody else will understand it. Visual aids. Now, a little story here. I was doing another talk. I had been given a week's notice to do it, and the guy who did it beforehand just turned out the night before that basically he was Mr. Presenter. He was hot, he was cool, he jumped off the stage and he threw things into the audience, and I was following him. Very quickly, the other thing is projector and tone of voice. Throughout all of this, I have not been shouting at you because I've got a microphone. So actually think about how you talk. Think about how you deliver. Think about where you stand. Some people actually use the stage, so they say, I'm going to talk about the economy and the recession. Actually, NLP, I've just anchored this part of the stage for the downside. But when I'm over here and I'm talking about how we're all working together and we're up, I've anchored this part for happy thoughts, happy good news. So you can actually use that. When you're asked to talk, that's my baby girl now, by the way, very proud of her. It's Mother's Day this weekend, so. Passion from the heart, it shows you care. Make it interesting. Knowledge and experience, you all have it, therefore you all can present with a little bit of practice. Tell the stories, connect with people, share the experience. Know your stuff, don't blag it. Not worth it. If you don't know and you get asked a question, be honest, say you don't know. Interact and involve. Try and keep your eye on the audience. Make sure that you are giving the audience what they need. Also, that is quite good. Do check your audience is alive. It has been known that people have died in presentations. Share. Remember why you're there as a speaker. It's not about me, it's about you guys getting what you need. And just finishing off, thank you very much for listening. I am available for weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs, and any business offers. And just to finish off finally, I love this quote. Well-behaved women seldom make history. So go out there, present till your heart's content, don't worry about cocking things up, learn from the experience, and thank you very much for listening to me.